Sometimes, a secret you've kept your entire life can crumble in an instant. Hello, I'm Myungsook Ko. Please listen to my heartbreaking story. I'm 70 years old this year. I'm a middle school dropout, but I have a secret no one knows. For 25 years, I've been the anonymous chairwoman leading Songwon Foundation, a massive educational institution. Songwon Foundation. It's the largest educational foundation in this region, with schools from elementary through university. Over 10,000 students and assets worth hundreds of billions of dollars. I've been running all of it anonymously. Why anonymously? Because of my education, or lack thereof. It was my only insecurity. I had to quit school as a child due to poverty. After that, I worked desperately and succeeded in a small real estate business. I used that money to acquire the academy my husband had been running, and after he passed away early, I grew the foundation alone. Double tap to continue. Before you continue, please hit subscribe and like, it really helps. But I was always afraid. I feared that if people found out the chairwoman was a middle school dropout, it would damage the foundation's reputation. So I never appeared at board meetings, only conveying my decisions through representatives. I never attended official events. I was just a shadow. Yesterday was my son Minho's celebration party for his professorship appointment. Minho is my pride. He graduated from a prestigious university's architecture department and earned his doctorate abroad. And finally, he was confirmed for appointment as a professor at Songwon University's architecture department. My heart was so full. My son was walking the academic path I could never achieve. And at the university I run, no less. The party was held at the city's finest hotel banquet hall. Over 100 guests gathered, professors, foundation members, Minho's fellow scholars. The sound of champagne glasses clinking echoed cheerfully under the glamorous chandeliers. I stood quietly in a corner, wearing my usual neat hanbok. Just watching my son's happy face from afar was enough for me. Minho was laughing brightly with his colleagues. That's when it happened. My daughter-in-law Jaein walked toward me. Jaein is a capable woman who runs a famous architectural design firm. She looked elegant in a designer dress, tall and graceful. "Mother," Jaein called out in a cold voice. "Yes, Jaein dear," I answered warmly. But Jane's expression was icy. "Mother, those people over there are discussing recent European architectural trends. They're all professors and architects with doctoral degrees. But you, I'm sorry to say, didn't even finish middle school, right?" My face burned at Jane's words. "So please don't join our conversations. This is a gathering for educated, cultured people. Honestly, it would be embarrassing if you tried to join in. Please go sit on that sofa in the corner over there." Jaein grabbed my arm and practically dragged me to the most secluded corner of the hall. There were only coat racks and a few empty chairs. I couldn't say a word and just sat down in that spot. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. Tears welled up, but I held them back. I couldn't let my son see me like this. I never imagined that my education, the insecurity I'd carried all my life, would come back to hurt me like a knife. And from my own daughter-in-law's mouth, no less. I sat in that corner spot until the party ended. I could hear people's laughter, the sound of toasts, Minho giving his thank you speech. But I couldn't really hear any of it. Only Jane's cold voice echoed in my ears. "You didn't even finish middle school." That night, after returning home, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Everything I'd built over 25 years felt like it was crumbling. Then around 3 in the morning, my cell phone rang. It was Director Jung. Director Jung is the foundation's legal counsel and my most trusted aide. "Chairwoman, I apologize for the late hour, but I have something urgent to report." Director Jung's voice was tense. "It's about designer Jaein. There's been suspicious activity regarding the new campus construction project." I sat bolt upright. "What do you mean, suspicious?" "Designer Shin has had several unofficial meetings with Sunwoo Construction, and there's evidence of a secret contract being drawn up. The amount is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, Chairwoman." I almost dropped the phone. "What are you saying?" "It's bribery, Chairwoman. It appears designer Shin is trying to receive bribes from Sunwoo Construction, using the foundation project as bait. And the justification is connected to Professor Minho's appointment." In that moment, I understood everything. Why Jaein had been so eager to rush Minho's professorship appointment, why she'd shown such interest in the foundation project. My daughter-in-law was trying to commit a crime using my son. Using the foundation I'd spent my life building as a stepping stone. My whole body trembled. I didn't know if it was from anger or sadness. But one thing was certain. I had to protect my son. "Director Jung?" "Yes, Chairwoman." "First thing tomorrow morning, suspend all of Minho's appointment procedures and immediately halt all contracts related to the new campus construction project." "But Chairwoman, if we do that, I know, but I can't let my son become a criminal. Execute it right away. I hung up and looked out the window. Dawn was breaking. Yesterday's humiliation and today's betrayal. All of it was testing me. But I am Myungsook Ko, the chairwoman who has protected Songwon Foundation for 25 years. I may be a middle school dropout, but I will protect my son no matter what. That was the last thing I could do as a mother. Every truth comes with its price. That morning at 8 o'clock, I called Director Jaein to the foundation office. I hadn't slept all night, but my mind was crystal clear. What needed to be done was all too obvious. Director Jaein entered carrying a briefcase. His face also showed signs of exhaustion. Chairwoman, I've compiled the relevant materials overnight. Director Jaein placed 3 thick files on the desk. The first file contains records of contact between designer Jaein and Sunwoo Construction. They've met 17 times over the past 6 months. All were unofficial meetings. I flipped through the file. Upscale restaurants, golf courses, even records of overseas business trips. The second contains transfer records from Sunwoo Construction to paper companies under designer Shin's name. The amount confirmed so far is $30 million. $30 million? My voice trembled. Yes, but this is just the beginning. Please look at the third file. Director Jaein opened the last file. It contained the secret contract for the new campus construction project. This is the decisive evidence. A secret contract stating that Sunwoo Construction would pay designer Shin a total of $250 million in exchange for winning the project. And this money was set to go into an offshore paper company established under Professor Minho's name. I covered my mouth with my hand. This wasn't simple bribery. It was a meticulously planned large-scale corruption scheme, using my son's name, no less. Does Minho know about this? No. From what I've confirmed, the professor knows nothing about it. It appears designer Shin forged the professor's identity. That was at least a relief. But once the appointment was confirmed and the project proceeded, Minho would inevitably be implicated as an accomplice. My son's entire life would be destroyed. Director Jaein, did you follow my instructions? Yes, I sent an official letter to the university headquarters at 7 this morning. Professor Minho's appointment has been completely suspended, citing the need for additional review by the foundation board. And the construction project? We've halted all negotiations with Sunwoo Construction. We've also notified them of unilateral termination of the memorandum of understanding already signed. I let out a deep sigh. This was just the beginning. What did designer Jaein say? We haven't been able to reach her yet. She'll probably contact us soon. As soon as Director Jaein finished speaking, my cell phone rang. It was Jaein. I answered the phone. Mother. Jaein's voice was agitated. What on earth have you done? Why was Minho's appointment suddenly suspended? And what about the Sunwoo Construction project? Jaein dear, calm down and, calm down? By what authority are you interfering with foundation business? You're just a middle school dropout mother-in-law. Jaein's words flew at me like knives. I answered quietly. Jaein dear, is that all you have to say to your mother-in-law? I have plenty to say. Because of you, Minho's life is being ruined. And my company's project is completely ruined, too. You must have some influence at the foundation, right? What exactly did you do? I didn't answer. It wasn't time yet. Jaein dear, you'll find out soon enough. Wait until then. Find out what? Mother. I hung up. My hands were shaking. But I couldn't back down. Director Jaein asked cautiously. Chairwoman, should we proceed to the next stage? Yes. Thoroughly secure all evidence of designer Jaein's corruption. Phone records, emails, bank transfers, everything. And investigate the people on Sunwoo Construction's side as well. Understood. But Chairwoman, Director Jaein hesitated, then continued. When will you tell Professor Minho? I looked out the window. I could see clear skies. Not yet. If Minho learns the truth, he won't be able to handle it. He trusts his wife. But the professor will misunderstand. That's okay. It's better for me to be the bad person than for my son to become a criminal. Right at that moment, the office door burst open roughly. It was Minho. Mom. Minho's face was flushed red and pale. His eyes were full of anger. Director Jaein quickly stood up. Professor, right now, please leave. Director Jaein, my mother and I need to talk. Director Jaein looked at me once, then quietly left the office. Minho approached my desk. Mom. What have you done? Why did you block my appointment? Minho dear, that's, Jaein said you put some kind of pressure on the foundation to suspend my appointment. Is that true? I couldn't answer. Mom. Please answer me. This is about my life. Minho's voice trembled. Seeing my son's pained expression felt like a knife stabbing my heart. Mom has her reasons for doing this. What reasons? Tell me. I've dreamed of this position my whole life. Do you know how hard I worked to get my doctorate abroad? Write papers? And you destroyed it all overnight. Minho dear, trust Mom. This is all for you. For me? Blocking my appointment is for me? Does that make sense? Minho slammed his fist on the desk. Jaein was right. You think Songwon Foundation's image would be tarnished, don't you? You're embarrassed to have a professor's son when you're only a middle school dropout, aren't you? No. That's not it, I shouted. But Minho wouldn't listen. I understand now. You've had expectations of me your whole life because of your education complex, but now that I'm actually succeeding, you're uncomfortable. This was your true feelings all along. Minho turned and walked toward the door. Minho dear. I tried to grab my son's arm, but Minho shook me off. Don't touch me. From today, I'll be staying at Jaein's place, and I won't be in contact with you until you give me a proper explanation. Minho said that and left the house. The sound of the door slamming echoed in my heart. I collapsed right there. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't know being hated by my son would hurt this much, but I couldn't just cry. I wiped my tears and called Director Jung. Director Jung, move up the board meeting to this Friday. Chairwoman, aren't you rushing this? The evidence isn't complete yet. It's enough. And I can't wait any longer. My daughter-in-law has completely turned my son against me. We need to end this now. Understood, Chairwoman. I'll convene an emergency board meeting for Friday at 10 in the morning. And Director Jung? Yes, Chairwoman. Prepare to reveal my identity. The identity of Myungsook Ko, the anonymous chairwoman hidden for 25 years. After hanging up, I looked out the window. Rain was starting to fall. A storm was coming, and I was standing at its center. Sharp check. Who suffers most between truth and lies? For the next 3 days, Minho really didn't come home. He didn't answer calls or reply to texts. Every night I stood in front of my son's empty room and just sighed. Jaein became bolder. After Minho left home, she called me almost every day. Mother, do you know how hard Minho was suffering? He's become a laughingstock among his fellow professors. A professor whose appointment was suspended. Do you know how embarrassing that is in academia? Jaein's voice pretended to be concerned, but her true intentions were different. Mother, you need to quickly contact the foundation and restore the appointment. That's the least you can do as a mother-in-law to me and to your son. Jaein dear, I can't do that. Why not? Why can't you? If you have influence at the foundation, you should use it for good. Why are you using it to ruin your son's life? I bit my lip. I wanted to tell her that I knew she was trying to make Minho a criminal, but I held back. I still needed to gather more evidence. Jaein dear, trust me. There's a reason. Trust you? How can I trust you? You've been obsessed with Minho your whole life because of your education complex. But when he's actually about to succeed, you pull him down. Is this normal behavior for a mother? Jaein's words flew like arrows. Mother, let me be honest. You're a middle school dropout, and that's not a crime. But your complex about it is now ruining your son's life. That's a problem. I hung up. I couldn't listen anymore. But Jaein didn't stop there. That evening, I got an urgent call from Director Jung. Chairwoman, this is serious. Designer Jaein broke into the foundation office. What? The security team caught her. Designer Shin entered the document storage room at the foundation office around 4 this afternoon. It's all on CCTV. What did she take? Well, documents related to your past business dealings, Chairwoman. Real estate transaction documents from 25 years ago. My heart sank. Those documents were records of real estate transactions I'd conducted to raise initial funds for the foundation. Everything was legal, but there had been complex tax processing procedures at the time. What is Jaein going to do with those? She's probably going to use them as blackmail. She'll claim there were problems with your past and argue that you're unqualified to run the foundation. I clenched my fists. Jaein was far more calculating than I'd thought. Director Jung, those documents are legally clean, right? Of course. You went through all procedures legally with consultation from tax accountants and lawyers at the time. But if designer Shin leaks distorted information to the media, it could damage the foundation's image. That night, I couldn't sleep. I don't know what Jaein would do next. And 2 days later, my fears became reality. Minho came home, but my son's expression was cold. Mom, we need to talk. Minho sat on the living room sofa. He was holding an envelope of documents. What is this? Minho threw the envelope on the table. Documents spilled out. They were exactly the documents about my past business that Jaein had stolen. Jaein gave you these? Yes. Jaein gave them to me. And she explained that you made money through illegal real estate deals 25 years ago, and you used that money to acquire Songwon Foundation, and that you blocked my appointment because you were afraid this would be exposed. Minho dear, that's all lies. Mom, lies? Then what are these documents? Look here, real estate transaction records in your name, paper company establishment records, it's all here. Those were all legal transactions. I did them with consultation from tax accountants and lawyers at the time. Then why did you hide it? Why did you run a foundation anonymously? I couldn't answer. Minho shook his head. Jaein was right. You're afraid your past will be exposed, so you want to step down from the foundation. And you're sacrificing me in the process. No, Minho dear. That's not the truth. Then what is it? Tell me, Minho shouted. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. Jaein's corruption evidence wasn't completely secured yet. If I spoke now, Jaein might destroy the evidence. Minho dear, just wait a little longer. You'll know soon. Wait? Until when? My life is falling apart right now. In academia, I'm already a laughingstock. My colleagues are whispering behind my back. But you're telling me to just wait? Minho stood up. I can't trust you anymore, Mom. Jaein was right. You used me because of your complex, and now you're abandoning me. Minho dear. I tried to grab my son's arm, but Minho pulled away. Don't touch me. From today, I'll be living at Jaein's. And I won't contact you until you give me a proper explanation. Minho said that and left home. The sound of the door slamming rang in my heart. I collapsed right there and cried. My son completely misunderstood me because of my daughter-in-law's lies. But I couldn't just cry. I wiped my tears and called Director Jung. Director Jung, move up the board meeting to this Friday. Chairwoman, you're not rushing too much? The evidence still isn't. It's enough. And I can't wait any longer. My daughter-in-law has completely turned my son against me. We need to end this now. Understood, Chairwoman. I'll convene an emergency board meeting for Friday at 10 in the morning. And Director Jung? Yes, Chairwoman. Prepare to reveal my identity. The identity of the anonymous Chairwoman Myungsook Ko, hidden for 25 years. After hanging up, I looked out the window. Rain was beginning to fall. The time to reveal the truth was approaching. And I wasn't afraid. As a mother, and as a chairwoman, I would do what I had to do. Every secret has an ending. Friday morning, I put on the most formal outfit I'd ever worn. A black suit with a pearl necklace. Looking in the mirror, I saw an unfamiliar version of myself. It was the day I would officially appear as Chairwoman Myungsook Ko for the first time in 25 years. I headed to the main conference room on the third floor of the foundation headquarters. Director Jung was standing in front of the conference room. Chairwoman, everything is ready. All board members are present. And designer Jaein is here too. What about Minho? Professor Yu isn't here. Designer Shin didn't inform the professor about this meeting. I nodded. Perhaps it was better this way, that my son wouldn't see this moment. Then let's begin. I opened the conference room door. Inside the main conference room sat 15 Songwon Foundation board members. They stirred when I entered. No one recognized me. Jaein was sitting in the center of the conference table. When she saw me, she smirked. Mother? Why are you here? This is a foundation board meeting. The board members murmured at Jaein's words. Director Jung stepped forward. Everyone, let me introduce you. This is Songwon Foundation Chairwoman Myungsook Ko. The conference room fell silent for a moment. Then the murmuring exploded. What? The chairwoman was anonymous, wasn't she? That woman has been running the foundation for 25 years? Jaein's face turned pale white. Director Jung turned on the projector. My history appeared on the screen. Chairwoman Myungsook Ko acquired Songwon Foundation 25 years ago. At that time, the foundation was insolvent with 80 billion won in debt. But under the chairwoman's management, the foundation's current assets have grown to 350 billion won. The screen changed, showing graphs and numbers. The chairwoman increased the foundation's schools from 4 to 12, and student enrollment grew from 3,000 to 12,000. She also expanded the scholarship system, and over the past 20 years, a total of 2,500 students have received scholarship benefits. The board members' expressions changed. Their eyes showed a mixture of surprise and respect. But why? Why did you operate anonymously? One board member asked. I slowly stood up. For the first time in 25 years, I was standing before the board members. I dropped out of middle school. The conference room fell silent again. I was born into a poor family and couldn't attend school properly. But I understood the importance of education better than anyone. So I wanted to achieve through this foundation the dreams I couldn't fulfill, so that many children wouldn't lose the opportunity to learn because of poverty like I did. I looked at each board member one by one, but I was afraid that if my middle school dropout status became known, it would damage the foundation's reputation. So I operated anonymously. Only Director Jung and a few close aides knew my identity. One board member shook his head. Chairwoman, education level isn't what matters. Your achievements speak for everything. The other board members nodded. Then Jaein jumped to her feet. Wait a minute. Everyone, don't be fooled. Do you know this woman's past? 25 years ago, she made money through illegal real estate deals. Jaein pulled out documents and threw them on the table. Here's the proof. Paper companies, unclear sources of funds, it's all here. Do you think someone like this is qualified to be chairwoman of an educational foundation? The board members murmured again. I said quietly, Jaein dear, how did you get those documents? Jaein showed signs of panic. That's not important. It is important. You broke into the foundation office illegally and stole those documents. It's all on CCTV. Director Jung pressed the remote. The CCTV footage played on the screen. Jaein entering the document storage room and rummaging through files was clearly visible. And Jaein dear, those documents are all records of legal transactions. I proceeded with consultation from tax accountants and lawyers at the time. I looked at Director Jung. Director Jung distributed other documents. Here are the tax processing confirmation and lawyer consultation opinions from that time. All transactions were conducted legally. Jaein's face grew increasingly pale. I looked straight at Jaein. Jaein dear, now it's your turn. Would you like to explain to the board members what you've been plotting with Sunwoo Construction? Jaein stepped back. What are you talking about? Director Jung, show them the materials. Director Jung operated the projector again. Photos of meetings between Jaein and Sunwoo Construction's CEO appeared on screen. Upscale restaurants, golf courses, even overseas hotel lobbies. Designer Jaein has met with Sunwoo Construction 17 times over the past 6 months. And this is the flow of money between them. Bank transfer records appeared on screen. The figure of $30 million was clear. The board members were shocked. And this is the decisive evidence. Director Jung displayed the final document on screen. It was the secret contract. A secret contract stating that Sunwoo Construction would pay designer Jaein a total of $250 million in exchange for winning the Songwon Foundation new campus construction project, and this money was set to go into an offshore paper company established under Professor Minho's name. The conference room buzzed. This is bribery, isn't it? And it's linked to a professorship appointment. Jaein shouted. It's a lie. It's fabricated. Fabricated? Your signature is on this contract. I pulled out the original contract and threw it in front of Jaein. Jaein couldn't continue speaking. Chairwoman, this is clearly criminal activity. We must file charges immediately, one board member said. I nodded. I intend to. But before that, Jaein dear, I need to ask you something. Did Minho know about this? Jaein shook her head. He didn't know. Minho knew nothing. Then why did you use my son's name? Jaein didn't answer. I let out a deep sigh. You tried to make my son a criminal. Because of your greed. That's why I blocked Minho's appointment. To protect my son. The board members looked at me. Their eyes showed understanding and sympathy. Jaein dear, effective today, you must step away from all foundation-related work and you'll face legal judgment. Jaein collapsed in her seat and started crying. I looked at the board members. Everyone, I apologize. My family problems have caused trouble for the foundation. Not at all, Chairwoman. You protected the foundation. Once again, I bowed to the board members. Thank you. And effective today, I'm no longer anonymous. I will now stand proudly as Chairwoman Myungsook Ko. Applause erupted in the conference room. At that moment, the conference room door opened. It was Minho. My son stood in the doorway, looking at me. His eyes were filled with tears. Mom, Minho's voice trembled. I walked toward my son. Finally, the moment when the truth was revealed. Truth sometimes hurts those we love most. Minho stood in the conference room doorway, looking inside. Jaein sitting at the table crying, and me standing there with dignity. Honey, Jaein reached out toward Minho. Honey, help me. These people are framing me. Minho didn't look at Jaein. He only looked at me. Mom, I really didn't know. Pain oozed from Minho's voice. I know, son. Mom knew you didn't know. I approached Minho. That's why Mom tried to protect you. Blocking your appointment, stopping the project, it was all to keep you from being implicated in a crime. Minho lowered his head. Mom, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. I thought you were interfering because of your education complex. I grabbed my son's shoulders. It's okay. Mom preferred that you misunderstand. You would have suffered more if you'd known the truth. Chairwoman, Director Jung called carefully. We need to file charges with the prosecutor's office. Sunwoo Construction is already under investigation as well. I nodded. Jaein dear. I called my daughter-in-law. Jaein couldn't lift her head. You have to pay the price for the path you chose. But I'll promise you one thing. I'll make it clear that Minho had nothing to do with this. Jaein looked up at me. Mother, don't call me mother anymore. As of today, you're no longer part of our family. Jaein's face contorted. Honey, Jaein shouted toward Minho. Honey, help me. We're married. Minho answered coldly. How can I help you after knowing what you did to my mother? And that you tried to commit a crime using me? We're done, honey. Jaein wailed. But Minho turned away. Director Jung called security. Turned designer Jaein over to the police. Jaein was led out of the conference room by security. Her crying echoed in the hallway. The conference room became quiet. I looked at the board members. Everyone, I apologize once again, and I'd like to discuss the direction Songwon Foundation will take going forward. I spread out the materials I'd prepared. First, regarding Professor Minho's appointment. As a board member, I will not exercise voting rights on this matter. I have a conflict of interest. Please make a fair judgment. One board member raised his hand. Chairwoman, Professor, you have nothing to do with this incident. He's actually a victim. I vote in favor of Professor Yu's appointment. I agree as well. Me too. The board members raised their hands one by one. Then let's vote. Those in favor of Professor Minho's appointment? All 14 board members raised their hands. Passed unanimously. I looked at Minho. Tears streamed down my son's eyes. Thank you, everyone. Minho bowed deeply. But I stood up and spoke. Wait a moment. Everyone looked at me. Minho dear. Yes, Mom. Mom wanted you to earn this position through merit, not through sympathy or collegiality, but through real ability. Minho raised his head. So here's what Mom proposes. Don't accept the appointment right away. Prove your ability. Whether by presenting a paper at an international conference or completing your research on eco-friendly, smart campus design, show in your own way that you deserve this position. Chairwoman, isn't that too harsh? One board member said. I shook my head. No. This is the real way to love my son. Minho dear, you can do it. Mom believes in you. Minho hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Okay, Mom, I'll prove it. Through my own ability. I hugged my son. That afternoon, I sat in the foundation office with Director Jaein. Chairwoman, the media is calling. They're requesting interviews about the revelation of the anonymous chairwoman's identity. Decline them all. I don't want to be famous. I just want to do my work quietly. Understood. And we've officially filed charges regarding designer Jaein. Sunwoo Construction's CEO will also be investigated. I looked out the window. Director Jaein, was I right to hide for 25 years? Director Jaein thought for a moment, then answered. Chairwoman, it's not a matter of right or wrong. You protected this foundation in your own way, and today you proved it. That ability and dedication, not education, are the standards for evaluating people. I smiled. Thank you, Director Jaein. That evening, Minho came home. Mother and son had dinner together for the first time in a while. Mom. Yes? Next month I'm going to submit a paper to the International Architecture Conference. It's about eco-friendly smart campus design. I've been researching it for 3 years. Good. You made a good decision. And Mom, I'm going to divorce Jaein. I held my son's hand. It will be hard, but Mom will be by your side. Minho nodded. Mom, you're really amazing. To build such a large foundation with only a middle school education. I shook my head. No, Minho dear. Mom is still lacking. So actually, yes. Will you help Mom study for the GED? Now there's no reason to hide, so I want to proudly earn my high school diploma. Minho smiled brightly. Sure, Mom, I'll be your teacher. That night, I was able to sleep peacefully for the first time in a while. The truth had been revealed. My son had returned to my side, and I no longer had to hide. Failure is not an end, but a new beginning. A week had passed since Minho began preparing his paper for the International Architecture Conference. My son locked himself in the study every night, refining his paper. Late at night, I quietly opened the study door. Minho sat at his desk, staring intently at the computer screen. Minho dear, don't overdo it. I offered him warm tea. Thank you, Mom. Minho took the tea and sipped it. Is it going well? Minho sighed. Honestly, I'm scared. This conference is the most prestigious architecture association in the world. Nobel Prize level scholars gather there. I sat next to my son. Doesn't that make it more meaningful? If you're recognized there, no one will doubt your abilities. Minho nodded. But Mom, lately I've been hearing whispers behind my back at school. The professor who tried to take bribes, the man with a criminal wife, things like that. I took my son's hand. Minho dear, you can't control what people say, but you can prove your ability. That's the most powerful answer. Minho looked at me. How are you so strong, Mom? You lived with the complex of being a middle school dropout for 25 years. I smiled. I'm not strong. I just had things I had to do. Raising you, protecting the foundation. That was more important to Mom than education. After that day, Minho prepared his paper even harder. Meanwhile, Jaein's trial began. Multiple charges were filed including bribery, document forgery, and illegal entry into the foundation office. I attended court as a witness. Jaein sat in the defendant's seat with her head down. The once confident woman who had been my daughter-in-law was nowhere to be seen. Witness, is it true that the defendant Jaein Shin forged your son Professor Minho's identity? Yes, it's true. My son knew absolutely nothing about this criminal plan. Jaein looked up at me. Her eyes were full of regret. After the trial, I left the courtroom. In the hallway, I met Jaein's mother. Chairwoman. Jaein's mother called to me. I'm sorry. I failed to raise my daughter properly. I shook my head. It's not your fault. Jaein chose her own path. Jaein wants to ask for your forgiveness. I hesitated for a moment. Forgiveness takes time. If Jaein is truly repentant, perhaps someday it will be possible. Jaein's mother bowed deeply. When I returned home, Minho greeted me with a bright smile. Mom. Good news. What is it? My paper was selected for final presentation at the conference. Over 500 papers were submitted from around the world, and only 20 were selected. I hugged my son. Well done, Minho dear. Really well done. But Mom, the presentation is in a month. It's in Zurich, Switzerland. Then you need to prepare hard. Yes, but Mom, can you come with me? I was surprised. Me? Why? I get strength when you're beside me. And I want to show you what I can do. The version of me that you believed in. Tears welled up in my eyes. Yes, Mom will definitely go. From that day, our house became busy. Minho practiced his presentation, and I got my passport and packed. One evening, Minho came out of the study and sat in the living room. Mom, I've been thinking a lot lately. About what? About my life. I was always obsessed with credentials and specs. I thought success meant graduating from a prestigious university, getting a doctorate abroad, and getting a good job. I quietly listened to my son. But going through all this, I realized what's really important isn't that stuff, it's a person's character and ability. You showed me that, Mom. Running the foundation excellently for 25 years despite being a middle school dropout. I held my son's hand. Minho dear, Mom is happy you realize that. Mom, from now on I'll be recognized for my real ability, not my credentials. That's what you taught me. That night, I took out old photos in my room. Pictures of me in my youth, photos with my husband, pictures holding newborn Minho. And I found the oldest photo. It showed young me in a middle school uniform. The last photo taken with friends on the day I had to quit school because of poverty. I stared at my face in the photo for a long time. I was sad then, but I didn't give up. And I made it this far. I put the photo back in the album. Now I can be confident. I don't have to hide anymore. A few days later, there was a faculty meeting at Songwon Foundation. I attended an official event for the first time as chairwoman. The professors were awkward at first but soon accepted me. Chairwoman, I'd like to ask about foundation management. One professor raised his hand. Yes, please go ahead. What direction will the foundation take going forward? I spread out the materials I'd prepared. I want Songwon Foundation to become an educational institution that values ability over credentials. A place where students who are poor or lack formal education can learn as much as they want if they have ability. The professors nodded. So starting next year, I plan to establish a special scholarship system. We'll give equal opportunities to students from unaccredited alternative schools or GED backgrounds. That's a good idea, Chairwoman. I smiled. Thank you. This has been my lifelong dream. After the meeting, Minho and I walked through the school campus. Mom, your dream is coming true. Yes, bit by bit. I looked up at the sky. It was clear without a single cloud. Minho dear, Mom is proud of you. You fell but you're getting back up. It's thanks to you, Mom, because you believed in me. We walked hand in hand through the campus toward a new beginning. True victory is not defeating others, but defeating yourself. A month passed and finally the day of the Zurich International Architecture Conference arrived. Minho and I arrived in Zurich the day before and settled into our hotel. Minho showed clear signs of nervousness. Mom, my hands are shaking. Minho told me. It's okay, it's natural to be nervous. But you've prepared enough. But when I look at the competitors, they're all famous scholars. Harvard professors, MIT professors, Cambridge professors, people like that. I grabbed my son's shoulders. Minho dear, they were all nervous like you at first. What matters isn't credentials, it's the content of your paper. Minho nodded. On the morning of the conference, I helped Minho put on his suit. Mom, please tie my tie. I tied my son's tie and said, Minho dear, remember, today you're not the son of a bribery professor or a man with a criminal wife. You're Minho Yu, the architectural scholar who researched eco-friendly smart campuses for 3 years. A determined light appeared in Minho's eyes. Yes, Mom, I understand. The conference hall was a grand convention hall. Over 1,000 scholars had gathered. I sat in the front row of the audience, and Minho went into the backstage waiting room. The morning session began. A Harvard professor's presentation, an MIT professor's presentation followed. All were excellent content. Finally, it was Minho's turn. The next presentation is from Drive. Minho Yu from Korea. The topic is Sustainable Eco-Friendly Smart Campus Design Harmony of Education and Environment. After the moderator's introduction, Minho stepped onto the stage. I clenched my fists. My heart was beating fast. Minho took a deep breath and opened his mouth. Good morning. I'm Minho Yu. What I'm going to introduce to you today isn't just architectural design. This is the future of education and the future of our planet. Minho's voice was clear without trembling. Minho's designs appeared on the screen. Buildings with solar panels, rainwater recycling systems, natural ventilation systems, everything was precisely designed. Minho presented passionately for 30 minutes. His paper didn't just present theory, it included specific, actually implementable design plans. If this design is actually applied, it can reduce energy usage by 60% compared to existing campuses, and construction costs are actually reduced by 20%. Sounds of admiration came from the audience. After the presentation, it was time for questions. A Harvard professor raised his hand. That was an excellent presentation. But what do you think is the biggest obstacle to actually implementing this design? Minho answered confidently. There are no technical obstacles. All the technology has already been verified. The biggest obstacle is people's perception. The prejudice that eco-friendly means high cost. But my research proves that prejudice is wrong. An MIT professor asked a question. Have you had experience applying this design to an actual project? Minho hesitated for a moment, then answered honestly, not yet. But at Songwon University, where I'll be affiliated, we're planning to build a new campus applying this design next year. Applause erupted from the audience. After the Q&A ended, Minho came down from the stage. I hugged my son. Well done, Minho dear. Really well done. Minho sobbed in my arms. Mom, I was so nervous. But I did it. That evening, the awards ceremony was held. The moderator took the microphone. This year's International Architecture Conference Best Paper Award goes to Minho Yu, who presented an innovative design for a sustainable future. Thunderous applause erupted in the hall. I cried and clapped. Seeing my son go up on stage and receive the trophy filled my heart to bursting. Minho gave his acceptance speech. Thank you. This award isn't mine alone. It belongs to my mother who believed in me, and to all of you who evaluated me based on ability. Minho looked at me in the audience. My mother dropped out of middle school, but for 25 years, she ran a large educational foundation including universities. My mother taught me that ability, not credentials, is the standard for evaluating people. The audience looked at me. I lowered my head in embarrassment. Today, in this place, I proved it. That I deserve to be here because of ability, not credentials. Thank you. The hall filled with applause once again. After the ceremony, several scholars approached Minho to shake hands. The Harvard professor proposed joint research, and the MIT professor offered a visiting professorship. Minho thanked them politely but said, "Thank you, but I want to realize my dreams at Songwon University." That night, Minho and I sat together in the hotel room. Mom, I was really happy today. I was happy too, Minho dear. It's thanks to you, Mom, because you taught me what's really important. I held my son's hand. No, you proved it yourself. Mom just watched from the side. Minho looked at the trophy. Now when I go back to Korea, I think I can accept the professorship with pride. Yes, now no one can doubt your ability. I looked out the window. Stars were twinkling in the Zurich night sky. Minho dear, Mom promises to. When we get back to Korea, I'll start studying for the GED. I won't be ashamed of my education anymore. Minho smiled brightly. Mom, I'll teach you. You'll learn quickly. We laughed and hugged. That night, I fell asleep peacefully for the first time in a while. My son had proven himself through ability, and I no longer had to hide. Life's true meaning is not in the ending, but in the journey. A week after returning from Switzerland, an emergency board meeting was convened at Songwon University. I entered the conference room. All the board members stood and greeted me with applause. Chairwoman, congratulations. I hear Professor Minho won the top award at the international conference? Yes, thank you. I sat down. Today's agenda is Professor Minho's appointment. One board member said, Professor Yu is now an internationally recognized scholar. It's an honor for the school. I nodded. Then let's vote. Those in favor of appointing Professor Minho as a special appointed professor in Songwon University's architecture department? All board members raised their hands. It was unanimous. Passed. Professor Minho, please come in. The door opened and Minho entered. My son's face showed a moved expression. Professor Minho, congratulations. The board members shook hands one by one, and I took out the appointment letter I'd prepared. Minho dear, Mother wants to give you this appointment letter personally. With trembling hands, I handed the appointment letter to Minho. Professor Minho is appointed as special appointed professor of Songwon University's architecture department. Songwon Foundation chairwoman Myungsook Ko. Minho received the appointment letter and tears streamed down. Thank you, Mom. No, chairwoman. Tears came to my eyes too. Well done, son. Really well done. After the meeting ended, I spoke to the board members. Everyone, I have something to tell you. The board members looked at me. Starting next year, I'm going to step down from the foundation's frontline management. Murmuring arose. Chairwoman, why? I smiled. I've run the foundation for 25 years. Now it's time to entrust it to professional management, and I'll only serve in an advisory role. But chairwoman, it's okay. I have another dream I want to achieve. What dream is that? I took a book out of my bag. It was a GED practice book. I'm going to prepare for the GED. Now I want to study proudly. The board members clapped with moved expressions. That evening, Minho and I had dinner at home. Mom, are you really going to step down from foundation management? Yes, now it's time to give opportunities to young people. But you've built it over 25 years. I shook my head. Minho dear, I learned something. True success isn't holding on to what you've achieved, it's passing it on to the next generation. Minho nodded. Then when will you start studying for the GED? Starting tomorrow. You'll be my teacher, right? Of course, Mom. From that day, my new challenge began. Every morning I woke up at 6 and studied for 2 hours. Korean, math, English, social studies, science. These were textbooks I was picking up again after 50 years. At first it was difficult. Especially math and English were really hard. Mom, this problem is solved like this. Minho sat next to me and explained. Oh dear, Mom's head has gotten too stiff. I don't understand. Take it slowly, Mom. There's no age limit for learning. I took strength from Minho's words and solved the problem again. 3 months passed. I gradually felt my skills improving. One day, Director Jaein visited. Chairwoman, there's been an interview request from the media. The story of a middle school dropout chairwoman preparing for the GED has become a hot topic. I shook my head. Please decline. I'm not studying to become famous. Understood. But please allow one thing. What is it? Among the students in our foundation's schools, there are some preparing for the GED. Let me study with those students. Director Jaein smiled. That's a good idea, chairwoman. So twice a week, I began studying with GED preparation students at the foundation's night school. When I first entered the classroom, the students were surprised. Chairwoman, why are you here? One student asked. I'm also preparing for the GED like you. Let's study together. The students were awkward at first but soon accepted me. Chairwoman, do you know how to solve this problem? No, I don't know either. Shall we think about it together? We put our heads together and solved the problem. 6 months passed. Finally the GED exam day approached. The night before the exam, Minho came into my room. Mom, are you nervous? Yes, it's my first exam in 50 years. Minho held my hand. You'll do well, Mom. You ran the foundation for 25 years. What could be harder than that? I smiled. Thank you, Minho dear. On exam day, I entered the test center. I saw students from night school who'd studied with me. Chairwoman, fighting. The students waved at me. I waved back. The exam began. When I opened the test booklet I was nervous, but I calmly started solving the problems. The 5-hour exam ended. I left the test center and took a deep breath. Minho was waiting outside. Mom, how was it? Well, I did my best. I'm sure you passed, Mom. A month later, the results were announced. I sat at the computer with trembling hands and entered my test number. The word passed appeared on the screen. I passed. I shouted. Minho came running. Mom, congratulations. We hugged and rejoiced. That evening, all the foundation staff gathered to congratulate me. Chairwoman, congratulations. Thank you, everyone. I stood up and spoke. Everyone, today I proved it. That there's no age limit for learning. And that true education isn't a degree on paper, but the will to keep learning. The staff applauded. From now on, Songwon Foundation will be a place that practices these values. A place that values ability over credentials, character over specs, and the will to never give up. That night, I wrote in my diary for the first time in a while. Today I passed the GED. A dream fulfilled after 50 years. But this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. I'll keep learning, because age is just a number. And I realized what's really important isn't credentials. It's the weight of truth. Living truthfully, working truthfully. That's the greatest education in life. A few days later, Minho and I walked through the school campus. Mom, what's your next goal? I smiled. After I get my high school diploma, should I try entering college? Really? Yes, I'm thinking about attending a lifelong education center. What do I have to be ashamed of now? Minho laughed. Mom, you're really amazing. We sat on a campus bench. Students passed by and greeted us. Good morning, Chairwoman. I waved back. Minho dear. Yes, Mom. Mom is happy. I hid for 25 years, but now I'm confident. And you were recognized for your ability too. It's all thanks to you, Mom. I shook my head. No, We achieved it together. I looked up at the sky. Sunlight was shining through the clouds. In this world, there are countless degrees and credentials. But what's really important is the weight of truth. The time lived truthfully, the sweat of truthful effort, the heart that loved truthfully. That is the most valuable degree you can earn in the school of life. Myungsook Ko, continue learning today. And I will learn tomorrow too, because learning has no end. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and like, and leave a word of encouragement in the comments.